morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to IPA Convex 2025, Day 2. I hope everybody now is full of energy and fully charged for the full day of a very productive session, especially at the plenary of IPA 2025. So once again, welcome back, and my name is Rahmad. It is an honor for me to stand here as your host for this remarkable event. We do hope that you had a very fruitful day yesterday at the very first day of IPA, and we promise to continue with a series of high-level dialogues and exchanging ideas, especially innovations that we hope to be sparked during the discussions that will be happening on the stage throughout the day. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome everyone. I would like to welcome speakers as well, moderators, and especially all participants. Your presence are very meaningful for me and for us, the IPA committee as well. And ladies and gentlemen, just a short introduction to IPA. It is an annual event, and it's a foremost gathering for Southeast Asia's oil and gas community, where it brings also together the policymakers, industry leaders, as well as experts to address the future of energy. And this year's theme is very timely, taking the theme Delivering Growth with Energy Resilience in Lower Carbon Environment, once again underscoring our shared commitment to the advancement of sustainable energy security across Indonesia and the region. And this convention is proudly organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association with full support by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, SKK Migas, Aceh Oil and Gas Management Agency, and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Okay, I think everyone is ready to start with the session this morning, and today's agenda will focus on energy resilience and strategic collaboration toward a carbon future. And to set the tone for this session, join me in welcoming our keynote speaker this morning, the very first one in the day, CEO of Medco Energy, Mr. Roberto Lorato. Please welcome on the stage, Mr. Lorato.
Ladies, gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, selamat pagi. Selamat pagi. Okay, better. All right. Actually, let me do this. I cannot read. It's an honor, of course, to speak with you today about a topic that is close to our mission at Medco and critical to Indonesia's future: transforming resources, the future of oil and gas downstreaming for economic growth. As you know, for decades, Indonesia has been richly endowed with oil and gas resources that have long powered economic growth. However, in today's rapidly evolving global economy, simply extracting and exporting raw materials is no longer sufficient. The real opportunity lies in transforming these natural assets into higher value products by processing them domestically, creating skilled jobs, nurturing new industries, and building long-term economic resilience. According to the Investment Ministry National Downstream Roadmap, achieving Indonesia's downstreaming ambitions will require a massive investment of approximately $540 billion over the few coming decades. Of this, the mineral and coal sector alone will account for over $400 billion, another huge number. And just the oil and gas downstreaming sector is projected to need $68 billion in investment to support a new refining, petrochemical, gas conversion industries, and so on. This transformative agenda is directly aligned with the Indonesian national priority agenda, particularly in supporting the country's strategic goals to become a developed, high-income nation by 2045 to industrialize through the value-added production and to end reliance on raw material exports. So downstreaming is not just an economic policy, it is a national development imperative for Indonesia. Specifically in oil and gas, Indonesia downstream will also align closely with its energy transition goals. For example, upgrading refining capacity is essential to meet cleaner fuel standards and reduce emissions. But let's look a little bit more closely about the downstreaming. Okay, thank you. The oil and gas downstream sector is projected to grow at 4% annually through 2028 in the world, with Asia-Pacific region leading global growth. In Indonesia, this momentum is evident in investment in refining and petrochemicals, accelerates to meet the rising domestic demand and support national industrialization. The Indonesian government has outlined ambitious targets, attracting over 68 billion in downstream oil and gas investment between 2023 and 2040, and cutting raw material exports by more than 70% by 2027. Downstreaming of oil and gas is expected to allow significant socioeconomic impact for Indonesia. It's forecasted to contribute additional almost 15 billion GDP by 2040, to create more than 70,000 jobs, and unlock more than 68 billion export value by 2040. All of those are very, very substantial material, I would say, breakthrough changes for the economy if they will realize, as I think they will be realized over the next 10, 20 years. All of this is going to mean, of course, more domestic refining, petrochemical integration, and gas monetization. Now, as I was mentioning earlier to Taufik, downstream exists if upstream is successful. And so, what is going to be the upstream role in supporting the government downstreaming ambition? Actually, downstreaming the oil and gas sector is not a new concept. In fact, oil and gas downstreaming has been implemented long before downstreaming in the mineral and core sector, under laws like the Law 44 1960s, so quite a few years back, under Law 22 2001 and others. As a result, today Indonesian economy structure has strong upstream and downstream linkages already. And in fact, Indonesia has already generated a variety of value-added products from oil processing, including fuels such as gasoline, diesel, aviation turbine, fuel, of course, LPG, lubricants, asphalt, petrochemical products, and so on and on. The task, therefore, of the upstream oil and gas sector now is to further expand and to further support the expansion of the downstream sector by a substantial increase of domestically sourced oil and gas production. In order to feed the ambitious plans to expand the downstream industry, the government has set a target for the upstream to increase its production from 580,000 barrels of oil a day and 5.5 BCFD in 2024 to 1 million BODs and 12 BCFD by 2030. So that means doubling the production of both oil and gas in the next 5 years, which by itself is a huge endeavor to consider. Actually, Indonesia has the geological potential to achieve this. However, huge investments of some 140 million and deployment of sophisticated technology will be required. So 140 billion for the upstream to feed the downstream by Taufik, it means that upstream is supposed to spend twice as much as the downstream to support your ambitious and very, I would say, very, not just realistic, but very, very appropriate goal of further industrialize and develop the Indonesian economy. 140 billion are a big amount, of course. But it's not only the amount of money, it's the deployment of sophisticated technology that will be required. We will need to explore and develop new basins, and all of this may take years before delivering meaningful new production. As we all know, upstream by itself is risky, capital intensive, long term. Anyway, to achieve these investments, the government has already undertaken a number of positive steps. Has initiated a strategy of optimizing production in existing fields, accelerating the development of new and delayed fields by streamlining the POD process, intensifying exploration through collaboration with international research. We need to enhance, in fact, the data quality via reprocessing and reinterpretation, implementing EOR strategies in potential fields, and lastly, but very important, improving the fiscal and non-fiscal regime of our sector. The last initiative is key to attracting the foreign capital and technology required to the scope. Up to this point, the government has introduced new fiscal terms, including very welcome flexibility in the application of the PSC terms, including flexibility to choose between gross split and cost recovery PSCs, flexible incentives tailored to accommodate investor needs and others. For the non-fiscal regime, improved coordination between central government and regional authorities is crucial. And furthermore, policy supporting technological advancement and development human capacity will be critical. So, the key success factors are going to be, if I want to summarize in one word, is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. To fully unlock the potential of Indonesian downstream transformation, coordinated action is essential across 4 key fronts. First, the government must ensure clear, consistent policies and incentives, including fast-track permitting, targeted fiscal instruments, and export controls that favor domestic processing. Second, infrastructure readiness must be accelerated with investments in ports, pipelines, utilities, and industrial zones aligned with downstream clusters development. Third, fostering public-private partnerships and cross-border collaboration is crucial to transfer technology, finance innovation, and de-risk long-term investments. And finally, building a future-ready workforce skilled in digital operations, environmental compliance, and advanced engineering. All of this will be key to sustain the industrial competitiveness of the country. In other words, the implication is the need for holistic policy strategies considering economic, social, and environmental aspects. In closing, therefore, downstreaming is more than an economic strategy. It is a national transformation agenda. By adding value at home, we not only grow our economy, but also strengthen our industrial base, reduce import dependence, and create high-quality jobs. At MEDCO, we are proud to contribute to this journey, actively supporting the shift from raw resources extraction to integrated value-driven energy development. MEDCO has an established record in this area, as witnessed by the fact that most of our gas production is sold to domestic. We have also further investing in the power generation from gas through our Medco Power, and more recently we have made big investments in the mining sector, copper in particular, and the downstreaming of that business. With this, my simple open remarks are finished, and I wish you and our panelists a very fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Mr. Lorato, thank you so much, but please remain on the stage before we let you go. We have a memento to be presented from the IPA board member to Mr. Lorato. So on this occasion, I would like to invite Mr. Sergio Mora Diaz-Guerra to come on stage and present the memento to Mr. Roberto Lorato. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Lorato. Let's give a big round of applause for the inspiring keynote speech focusing on downstreaming and its impact socio-economically and what to do, especially by the upstream oil and gas to help downstreaming happening in Indonesia. Thank you very much. You may all return to your seats. Thank you. Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, we will start with our sessions on our plenary. And before we start, I would like to remind you again that we are inviting everyone to please be engaged and also asking questions, because there are going to be Q&A session that is opened right after any discussion. So simply scan this QR code and open the question box. You can submit your questions there and address it to any of the speakers that will be speaking today. All right, so aligned with what Mr. Lorato just mentioned on his keynote speech, as Indonesia accelerates its energy transformation agenda, the role of downstreaming oil and gas industry has become increasingly strategic in delivering economic growth and ensuring energy sustainability. So the next session will explore a critical theme, transforming resources, the future of oil and gas, downstreaming for economic growth and sustainability. And together with leading government officials, industry players, and experts, we will discuss the national strategy, investment outlook, and the multiplier effect that downstreaming can bring to Indonesia's economy. Okay, so now it's time for me to introduce our moderator for the first panel session. Our moderator this session is a senior practitioner lecturer at the School of Business and Management, Institut Teknologi Bandung, or ITB, an independent consultant with extensive experience in energy policy and industry strategy, and he has also added to his profile key roles, including Indonesia's governor to OPEC and deputy chairman of SKK Migas. I'm sure you all know him. Let's welcome him on the stage, Bapak Widhyawan Prawiraatmadja. Silakan Pak, take it away.
Can you all hear me? I would like to have my esteemed panelists to come forward. Ibu Marcia, please. Pak Agung, Rakhmanto. Pak Abdulla. Pak Taufik. And last but not least, Pak Rahmad Pribadi. With the small group, we could be very intimate, right? You may notice, guys, Pak Abdulla and Pak Sergio wear the same outfit, right? So, because they are representing the IPA board. So, thank you for IPA for having us here. And Pak Sergio and Pak Abdulla are the hosts to this event as well. It is really an honor for me to be here. And I'm actually, can you put up the names and everywhere? So you heard me calling them up. So I probably spend a few seconds in terms of putting the context of this panel, but I would like to especially introduce Ibu Marcia. You may remember that the Energy and Mineral Resources Ministry was under the coordinating Minister of Maritime Affairs, previously Maritime and Investment Affairs. Currently, it has come back to the coordinating Minister of Economic Affairs. And Ibu Marcia is representing the CMEA. IPA invited the deputy, which is Pa Ellen, but Pa Ellen is performing Hajj currently. So we actually kind of fortunate also because Ibu Marcia is very hands-on, very capable representations of this ministry. She is rather new in the position, 5 months, so be gentle on her. But I would promise you, she would be very open in supporting oil and gas sector, facilitating the regulations, debottlenecking, pushing other ministries to support us. Please always contact her. If she doesn't respond, tell me, okay? Pa Dr. Agung is the mind, right? He's a think tank, founded ReforMiner, who apparently made a study for IPA for this particular session. Pak Agung is a very prominent researcher, also lecturer in universities of Trisakti. No further introduction needed. And Pa Abdulla has been here for a while now, representing Mubadala Energy. He is the head of this company. You may saw earlier Pa Roberto, right? He's been here a long time. So, somebody was laughing, but I think Pa Sergio, Pa Abdulla, if you were falling in love to Indonesia, you would be a passionate speaker perhaps 20 years from now, and that same podium. Be careful, right? But among us, there are so many people which this passion, we've been here for a long time. And with this kind of event, we would also expect many of you guys here, the younger generations coming, whether it's from MNCs, IOC, NOC, whatever you would be, doing the same favor to Indonesia through the upstream oil and gas sector. Now we move on to the downstream side of the business, but of course, Taufik he qualifies as downstream guy, but he originating from the upstream side of the business. Long time Arco, BP, then Pertamina upstream, then now currently heading the Pertamina refining company. We also have a downstream, two downstream person, Pa Rahmad Pribadi, representing a fertilizer company. He's been in the position for a while, starting from Petrogras, but in the old days, she was also coming from upstream, Caltex, Chevron, by the way. All right, Pa Roberto mentioned about the word of downstreaming. Downstreaming perhaps is a bit strange to many Indonesians, but when you said this is hilirisasi, that then suddenly a lot of people come with the expectations, okay? So this is, hilirisasi would be the buzzwords, but as Pa Roberto mentioned, this could be the main word of propping, elevating Indonesian economy, right? That is actually the hope. But would this hilirisasi become a magic word? Let alone the silver bullet, we remain to hear from the panelists in terms how to get there. Of course, Ibu Marcia representing the government policy part of it, what I would propose to my esteemed panelists here that each and every one of them will speak about 1 or 2 minutes or so, commenting and on Pa Roberto's earlier speech. And then the second round, we're going to have the specific questions addressed to all of them. The third round would be cross-questioning, if possible. We would also like to accommodate questions coming from audience. So we would begin with Ibu Marcia. I think you have the mic over there, and spend about 1 or 2 minutes in terms of what would you take from the government side of what Pa Roberto was just telling us earlier.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Pak Wawan. Good morning, everyone. I'm Marcia, Assistant Deputy for Oil and Gas Development from the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. I want to apologize because our deputy cannot come here. And thank you for inviting us in this important and big event. It is an honor for me to sit here and to share some insight for oil and gas development industry. We can discuss about how it is going and then where it is will be going. And thank you for the Mr. Roberto speech. That's the clear and detailed presentation. And from our side, from government point of view, we would like to take some importance for us about how we have to work together to improving this oil and gas downstream industry, and it's our key role to take the coordination action. So please contact us if you have some difficulties in this area, in this sector, so we can coordinate it all stakeholders together. Okay, thank you, Pak Wawan.
Thank you, Pak Wawan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to follow up a little bit what Pak Roberto Lorato said. That yes, I agree that downstream is not a new concept for Indonesian economy. Downstreaming in oil and gas sector is not new thing. It's been long implemented in Indonesian economy actually, and at certain level, actually we are already in the stage of industrialization at a certain scale, because there are at least 12 sectors that are interlinked with upstream and downstream in oil and gas. And I have to mention because based on the study conducted by collaboration between IPA and ReforMiner Institute, we have identified at least top three sectors which considerably can be said as a representative of downstreaming downstreaming oil and gas sectors. There are top three sectors which are oil and gas refinery, and then basic chemical industry, and fertilizers industry. We'll talk about it into more detail later, Pak Wawan. And based on that, the top three classified based on the multiplier effect of added value created by the interlinkage between upstream and downstream sector itself in terms of economic value added. Yes, I think, and that's for all for now, Pak Wawan. I think we'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Pak Abdulla, would you continue with your remarks?
Hello, yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning and salamat pagi, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be here, actually representing two entities this time. So IPA and Mubadala Energy, of course. I think I was trying to, to think about some key talking points that I would like to share with you this morning. But lucky me, Mr. Roberto has already covered all of it, so I think we don't need to elaborate anymore. But in more serious notes, I believe downstreaming, of course, as my colleagues have mentioned, is not a new concept. This is something that has been implemented on and off depending on the political situation and the economic stability of a certain region or country. But we are fortunate enough to be in an amazing time, especially for Indonesia, where huge discoveries are being rounding for I think, since the last couple of years, maybe 4 years, starting with ENI and other oil and gas operators here, ending up with Mubadala Energy actually in the huge discoveries and the success stories in North Sumatra. All of this calls out for a speedy development. We don't settle for time-consuming, non-schedule driven projects anymore. The demand is high and the supply is very scarce. This requires a collaboration from both sides, actually, the operator, the investor, and the government. No matter where we are. I think since we are here in Indonesia and my big focus is in Indonesia, so I'm really fortunate to be a part of this journey. There is a transformation. I believe all of the international oil and gas companies, or most of them actually, are starting to come back to Indonesia. This is a good sign for us. We've been here since the beginning. We see the transformation. We are part of that transformation. Downstreaming is good, but I agree with Mr. Roberto that we need to have a big focus on the success of the upstream in order for us to go ahead and integrate the downstream into the picture. There are a lot of issues that maybe we can discuss later and that will come throughout the questions, but it's pretty simple. I mean, money in terms of investment can come from anywhere, but money looks for stability and policy that is, providing the safe environment for that money to grow and to be invested in. We are all committed here, otherwise we wouldn't be involved in some, heated topics and discussions. We are committed to stay in Indonesia, and we see the potential. And we are very grateful and we're happy to see that the regulator is actually working hand in hand with us. And this is something that I cannot speak of in some other parts of the world, right? So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we are approaching the right methodology in implementing and combining upstream and downstream, but we need a clear regulation. We need another look and think at the policies to make this successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Abdulla. Pak Taufik, you would add perhaps.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Let me take some notes from what Pak Roberto's speech this morning. So basically, what we are here is for transforming or downstreaming the oil and gas industry is to aim for creating the job and also economic growth of this country, as well as substitution of imported goods that part of resilience of the energy and also of the country. So what I would like to emphasize also in terms of collaboration, because of the oil and gas business as well as downstreaming is a long-term business. So of course this must have the certainty in the policy and also the regulation for attracting the investor to come and to invest in our country. And the other part that should be emphasized in downstreaming. Downstreaming is just not creating creating the good job, as well as also the downstreaming, the oil and gas especially is for creating the added value for the raw material, for the feedstock that will be required for our people. And then we need the long-term collaboration between upstream and downstream, such that each other can securing the long-term business plan for the future, and also in this what we call the monetizing what the existing resources in a better manner. That's probably for the. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Taufik. Pak Rahmad.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's great pleasure to be here. It's been too long I'm away from upstream sector, so it feels like going back home, seeing all important people in the upstream. Well, I take Pak Roberto last comment, which is collaborate. And I like to point it out that fertilizers and energy are very tightly related. So upstream sectors play great role in the fall and the success of Indonesian food securities. Fertilizer contribute to 62% of agriculture productivity, and 75% of fertilizers are coming from upstream sectors. So you can cheer your contributions as Indonesia getting closer to being food independence, but you can also be blamed if Indonesia at a certain point of time fail to achieve food independence. If people on the street fail to, or if we or government fail to feed people on the street, then I would say we are upstream sector can be accounted to be responsible for that. And Pupuk Indonesia, just a little bit about Pupuk Indonesia. Pupuk Indonesia is the largest and best player in Asia Pacific, Middle East, and North Africa. Our ammonia capacity constitutes globally around 5% of global total capacity, and that makes us as the largest and best player in the region. And I have to also point it out, talking about downstreaming, I like to go back to the Indonesian independence back in the 1945. The first industry that Indonesian government built was fertilizer industry, which is in essence a natural gas downstream industries. So we have that track record. And I think, coming back to what Pak Roberto says, Pak Widhyawan says, I think we have to really continue these legacies. The downstreaming of natural gases has to continue to be able to strengthen Indonesian position in food security. Thank you, Pak Wid.
Thank you, Pak Rahmad. Let's proceed with the question. Ibu, we understand the government has the ambition to achieve 8% growth. How do you see this downstreaming policy is going to contribute to that, especially in the oil and gas sector?
Yeah. Okay. As Mr. Roberto said, that to achieve 8% economic growth in Indonesia, Indonesia needs investment around 30,000 trillion rupiah until 2027. 29. So it is the big ambition, like Mr. Roberto said, and one of important thing to achieve the target is decentralization and industrialization. And with the downstreaming activity, we can increase the added value, like Pak Taufik said, and give more investment to economic growth. And this is support the president missions, it called Astacita. So this target must be achieved. So we have to make some strategy for reach that target. For downstreaming itself, it contribute about 26% of total investment. And for oil and gas commodity are among the top 6 priority sectors that it is stated in the roadmap of downstreaming activity created by Ministry of Investment in 2022. In line with that, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources also created the roadmap for hydrogen and ammonia. This is important to downstreaming activity, but it is also important for the energy transition and can give us to reach the net zero emission target by 2060. So this is the role of downstreaming in oil and gas project.
Thank you, Ibu. Pak Pri, here's the tough one for you. It's a sanity check after your evidence-based study. Would this be achievable? And if it is, how does it take to get there?
Yeah, it depends on many factors actually, but I would like to emphasize 3 policies at least we need to do it in a better way. I think, Pak Awan, there are at least 3 policies we need to be better. I think one is appropriate pricing policy that could give positive signals for upstream, midstream, and the downstream itself. So not only lowering price in the downstream as a populism sentiment, but we have to balance the price so that could encourage investment in upstream, because the sustainability of downstreaming is really depend on the supply from upstream. And in the midstream itself, we need, apart from good pricing policy, we need also, I think, proper or wisely government intervention in terms of if the market mechanism doesn't work to make the infrastructure is built and developed, that the government has to take concrete action to build the infrastructure itself, because the supply of the downstream sectors really depends on the existence of sufficient capacity of infrastructure. And at that point, I think in high level policy, I think it's very simple economic theory basically, that actually if the market mechanism can work, then the government doesn't have to make intervention. But if the market mechanism doesn't work, the government has to make intervention. But in terms of diversifying supply in order to So in order to secure the supply for the downstreaming, the need of energy for downstream sector itself, I think, again, a more market-based approach, I think we need. The government needs to do it not only based on nationalistic sentiment. So whether the supply come from import or from other sources, I think the economic criteria must be the first criteria to be chosen. Not last but not least, because this is also in the not only because in the forum of upstream right now, but I think the interlinkage between upstream and downstream we need to really brought up more attention on this aspect, because based on the study again, if we can substitute the input of the energy or the feedstock for downstream sector by increasing domestic output, by mean in this context oil and gas production, that the multiplier effect created by the overall Indonesian structure, Indonesian economy will be multiplied. We have calculated here that substituting import for the downstream input by increasing domestic production will increase. I have to read the note, Pak Wawan. Here, one moment. Yes, here. It's written in the term of reference. It will increase the multiplier effect of oil and gas refinery multiplier index by 1.84, so almost two times of the increasing of the multiplier effect. And for the fertilizing industry, it will also increase by almost 4 times if we can increase the supply from the domestic. And for that's for chemical industry. And for the fertilizer industry, nearly 1 to 2 times of the multiplier effect will be increased by substituting input from.
So the impact
domestic.
is real, right?
Yes. Right.
So Abdulla, of course, Mubadala has a proven track record of supplying the gas. Actually, you supply Pupuk Kaltim from Ruby Field, for sure. But in your opinion, right, you said you're going to be here to stay and you're going to continue to support. But do you see this downstreaming policy is a good incentive that increasing the attractiveness of the upstream oil and gas business to make it a more thriving and again of the industry, that bringing back a lot of the bona fide players to the industry? And how would you see this if you can say the aspiration of that? Of course, you would supply when the price is right? But I guess in terms of your experience in terms of supplying all this to the downstream side of the business, how would you see this is going to be increasing your effort to expedite monetizing some of the resources that you already found?
Yeah, thank you for this complex question, Pa. But I think from my side, I would just go back to Mubadala Energy's own experience, because that is a testament of what's going on right now, right? So basically, if we go back again to the upstream issue, you've got a relatively big discovery. You want to monetize it, and then break from the chain of sticking to only the upstream side, but you want to also invest in the downstream. I mean, there is a huge potential if the time and the circumstances are right. So for us as a company, of course, we are thinking about expanding our business into the downstreaming, no doubt about it. But then we have to ask ourselves multiple questions, right? First, are the fiscal terms allowing us to have a good environment to move from upstream into the downstream business? Is the infrastructure available and is the demand there? What is the policy? And is there a cap on the gas price, right? All of these questions need to be answered before we go ahead and spend any amount of money to move from upstream into the downstream. Better yet, we need to make sure that the upstream survives before we even think about going to the downstream. I mean, the positives and the benefits from downstreaming, we cannot deny that this is something that we have to go for the benefit of both the country and the operators. No doubt about that. And we would be more than happy to invest into the downstream side as well. But we need to fix some glitches in the system before we proceed with that. So I think more precisely, fiscal terms, policies, incentives, gas price, and maybe we need to think about DMO as well. So we support providing 100% of the production to the domestic. I mean, we would love to support that and be part of that. But if you want to ban the export, we need to make sure that we have two key elements there that will support that. Number one is the demand is there. Number two is we need to have a competitive price to be able to fulfill that. I think that's my opinion in a nutshell. And I hope that we can see some support and changes in policy to support that aspiration.
Thank you, Pa Abdulla. Now move on to Pa Taufik. If I can read your mind, you would probably just going to shout, "Show me the volumes." Right? I understand you've been importing quite a bit, but we would like to also understand is the ambition, the aspirations of you, for example, expanding your capacity, diversifying to petrochemicals, all the way to the more downstreams, and of course, in terms of what you would have hoped for, in terms of getting the secure supply of this upstream, how's the readiness of your refineries to accept all those crude oils or gas that coming from the domestic production, and how would your expectation be realized in terms of, from the point of your willingness to pay, in terms of making you more competitive in comparison to the other players in the downstream side of the business? How would you actually express that to enlighten the audience?
Okay, thank you, Pak Wawan. Downstream. So I will start with the end. Currently, our consumption of fuel for Indonesia is 1.4 to 1.6 million barrels per day, right? So our refinery capacity at this time is 1.15 million barrels per day, means we still imported of the fuel and product. And in the other hand, to fulfill our capacity of feedstock, we also need to import the crude from abroad, because the domestic still produce only 600,000 barrels per day. So this is the room for us how the oil and gas industry can fulfill both sides. The first from our refinery. So in current program for expansion capacity, revamping our plan to provide flexibility of the crude oil can be processing. In the past, we still limited to the sweet gas, sweet oil, sweet crude oil. So, but nowadays we can also processing the sour crude oil for our refinery. Means we will be reducing our cost of goods sold, which is required by government to provide the affordable fuel for our people. So if the collaboration, as Roberto earlier mentioned this morning, from upstream to downstream, but at the end, our country needs creating the growth for the country by creating the good jobs as well as investment. So how the upstream domestic production can be increased aggressively, and also building the model such that we can provide to the country for resilience, the end industry, to fueling the industry and for growing the economy. That's my, of course, the aspiration for our downstream is the gas as a gas price, the feedstock price, how we can manage in the long term, long-term business plan, both from upstream to downstream, such that can leveraging what the interest of benefit for its parties. That's probably my thought for this.
Thank
upstream,
you.
downstream.
Thank you, Pak Taufik. Pak Rahmad, understand you would also need to expand in meeting ever-increasing demand for sure, right? Then, in your case, how would you actually strategize in terms of looking at some of the existing supply, which is perhaps declining, natural declining, but you would also expanding in a place where new finds of the oil and gas is there. So how would you strategize in terms of your next, expansion and everything, where your project is going to be located, and how would you actually expect this to happen in accommodating many of the gas that is going to be on stream in the near future?
Thank you, Pak. Before I answer that question, I'd like to point it out that a lot of people, because our name is Pupuk Indonesia, we are, to large extent, are associated pretty much with fertilizers. Some people even think that we are just bagging organic materials into the bag and distribute that to farmer. But in reality, Pupuk Indonesia is a petrochemical company. The chart that is showing, the orange one, are those that we already produces. And in Indonesia, I would say that Pupuk Indonesia is the key, if not the largest C1 value chain players. We have, of course, Pak Taufik, who are pretty much focused on crude oil, but Pupuk Indonesia are a company that is pretty much focused in natural gas. So in the future, we will expand. At this moment, we have ammonia and all the derivatives. We have the first building block of natural gas downstream. But in the future, we will expand into the next building block, which is methanol based. And with that, our consumption will grow from today at 821 billion BTU per day to 1.3 BCF per day. And in the future, the strategy in the past is to build our industry next to the gas field. But in the future, we cannot rely on that anymore. Natural gas is non-renewable resources. It's God-given. If it's not there, it's not there. So we have to be more flexible. So in the future, we will move into LNG. So in our plan, in 2033, we will start using significant amount of LNG, and that will goes up to even 57% in 2050. But again, like what you correctly said, Pak Abdulla also said, when the price is right, right? Unfortunately, Indonesia or Indonesian fertilizer or Indonesian gas downstream players are not getting the best gas price globally. We are actually probing some opportunities in North Africa and in North America, where the gas price is pretty much very low. I think Henry Hub now is selling at around $3, and in Canada is selling at around 3.5 Canadian dollar at the plant gate. So we have to think about this. I think I'm not saying that we should go to that level, but because obviously the subsurface structure, each country has a different challenges. But I think looking at what this sector, be that the upstream and downstream, can bring to Indonesia, it's very big. And as I said earlier, fertilizer, food are largely dependent or very tightly related with the oil and gas sector. So if we want to see Indonesia that is very strong, I think we need to see upstream, Indonesian upstream, to be extremely strong. Thank you.
Thank you. I think if I can ask the audience, please join me in giving the applause to all the panelists. Just a bit of reminder to all of us. Sometimes we forget that, sometimes we take it for granted that the energy needs to be there. And then yes, it is the essential element or factor, like Pri said, to support the economic growth. But one thing we in the energy business understand, that we are also the catalyst to have the investment in the country to support not only the economic growth, but the multiplier effect from all the way to upstream and to downstream. Well, all this thing is going to be contributing to the economic growth of Indonesia, as well as this is a mirror for us to see how the investment climate of the country is seen by prospective investors. So with that, I would like to reiterate again what Roberto said in the beginning of this session about collaborations. And I think we already show it that many of our stakeholders here represented in the podium been saying the same thing. It's just a matter of trying to implement it in terms of executing it and getting all the support from all the elements, from all the stakeholders. And with that, I think we would like to thank and feel the gratitude to all the esteemed panelists for sharing their knowledge, their wisdom, and hopefully their wish would actually come true to the better of Indonesia in the future. With that, I would like to close the session and thanking the audience for being patient with us in listening to our discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause for this panel session. And let's now invite all speakers as well as moderator to please stand up, as you will receive mementos from the IPA board. And with this, I would like to call upon to the stage Ibu Mariolin Wayong, Ibu Meti, from the IPA board to deliver the memento to all speakers and moderator. All right, and to deliver the memento, once again, would like to invite to the stage Ibu Meti. Once again, we thank all speakers who spoke about the stories from the mineral and coal downstreaming strategy point of view. And at the end of the day, we all will go downstreaming as part of the government's grand strategy for oil and gas downstreaming development in driving economic growth. And also the panel discussed the role of upstream producers in supporting this vision, opportunities and challenges faced in balancing supply and demand, and the importance of collaboration. Mr. Sergio and Ibu Meti, please kindly take pictures together with the speakers And Moderator? Ibu Meti, please kindly take pictures together. Yes, we don't want to lose you on the stage right now. Okay, don't forget to smile, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thank you very much. Once again, let's give applause to this very first panel of the day that explored about downstreaming and what challenges and opportunities there are. And of course, to Bapak Widhyawan Prawiraatmadja, who have led the moderated session very well. Thank you very much. You may all return to your seats.